Good morning, my dear students. Today we will continue Chapter 5, Separation of Substances. Today we will revise different methods for separation of substances, and side by side we will be discussing question answers also. First we will start with methods for separating components of solid-solid mixtures. Solid-solid mixture means the mixture in which the components are solid. So these are the various methods that are used for separating components of solid-solid mixtures. First, start with hand picking. In this method, visible unwanted particles are removed by hand because the name is hand picking. So visible unwanted particles are removed by hand. When is this method preferred? This method is used when the unwanted particles are small in quantity and their shape, size and color is different from the useful ones. Next is threshing. This method is used for separating grains from stalks of plants. Next is winnowing. Winnowing method is used to separate lighter components husk from the grains. Grains are heavier component. Okay, so this method is used for separating husk from the grains with the help of wind. Okay, this method is based on difference in the weight of the components that are to be separated. For example, here husks are the lighter particles, okay, and the grains are the heavier components. Okay, if we move on to the next, which is sieving. This method is based on difference in the size of the components that are to be separated. For example, there is a mixture of rice and salt. Okay, we know that size of the rice is rice particle, it is more as compared to salt particles. So if we want to separate the components of mixture of rice and salt, what we will do? Just put this mixture on sieve. When we will pass it through the sieve, what will happen? The salt will pass through the pores of the sieve and rice will remain on the top of the sieve. So this method, sieving, it is used when the size of the components of the mixture is different. Okay. So let's see some questions now. A mixture can be separated by sieving but not by winnowing or hand picking. Why? As I told you just now that sieving is used when there is difference in the size of the components of the mixture. Okay. And when this winnowing or hand picking is used, just now I have explained, winnowing is based on the difference in the weight of the components to be separated. So it is used for separating husk from the grains like wheat, rice, etc. And hand picking, it is used when the unwanted particles, they are small in quantity and their shape, size and color, it is different from the useful particles. At that time we prefer hand picking method. Next is, we do not pluck seeds of cereal plants like we pluck fruits from a plant. Okay, so as to separate the seeds of the cereal plants, which method we use? We use threshing. Why? Because seeds are small in size and they are larger in quantity. If we want to separate grains from the stalks of the plant, we will prefer threshing method. Okay, we will not pluck them. We will not pluck the grains like wheat seeds from the stalks of the plant, because grains like wheat, the seeds of the wheat, they are very small in size and they are larger in quantity. Now we will see methods for separating the components of solid liquid mixtures. Here we will just see these methods. These four methods we will see. First, discuss sedimentation and decantation and then filtration. So these two methods, they are used to separate insoluble solids from liquid. For example, we have a mixture of sand and water. Okay, we know that sand does not dissolve in water. So if we want to separate the components of this mixture, sand and water, so what method we can use? We can go for this also and this also, because these are the methods which are used to separate the insoluble solids from liquid. Okay, so here I will show in book. Here you can see this is a mixture. This is a mixture of sand and water. Okay, So in the sedimentation, mixture is left undisturbed for some time so that the sand particles will settle down at the bottom. Okay, and then when sand particles, they will settle down at the bottom, then we will see there will be clear layer of water at the top, and this clear layer of the water, it can be poured into another container. And similarly, if we have muddy water, okay, so if we want to separate the mud from that water, we can use filter paper. Okay, so the mixture, this muddy water, okay, this muddy water, it is a mixture of mud and water. So when this muddy water, it will be passed through the filter paper, what will happen? The mud will remain on the top of the filter and clear water will be collected at the bottom in a beaker. Okay. If we talk about these two methods, evaporation and condensation, and the next is distillation. These are the methods which are used to separate soluble solids from liquid. For example, mixture of salt and water. We know that salt dissolves completely in water. Okay, if we have a mixture of salt and water, so which method we can use to separate the components of this mixture? We will go for evaporation and condensation. Evaporation is the process in which water converts into its vapors, and the condensation is the process in which the water vapors again come back to the water form. Next is the distillation. When is distillation used? This is used so as to separate the liquid from soluble salt solution. So this is used so as to obtain the pure water from the water that has dissolved impurities. Okay, I hope now difference is clear. These two methods, sedimentation and decantation, and the next one, filtration, these are used to separate the insoluble solids from the mixture of this insoluble solid and liquid. Okay, and these methods, they are used so as to separate the soluble solids from liquid. I hope this is clear. Now, let's see some questions. So, there is one question that what is the difference between filtration and distillation? Just now I have explained that filtration, it is the method in which insoluble solid will be separated from liquid by passing the mixture through a filter. And in this distillation process, this is the process for obtaining the pure water from the water having the dissolved impurities. Okay. So, if I ask what method will be used to separate a mixture of sand and water? So, we can go for sedimentation and decantation. Now, we will see some more questions. Evaporation and sublimation. In evaporation process, liquid changes into vapors. For example, if water is heated, water converts into water vapors. So evaporation is the process in which liquid converts into vapors on heating. Next is sublimation. In sublimation, on heating, solid changes into vapors without turning into liquid state. That means in the sublimation process, on heating, solid will directly convert into vapors and it will not go into the liquid state. Let's compare it with one example. If we have ice cubes, if we heat the ice cubes, what will happen? Ice cubes will start melting and will convert into water. Okay, water is the liquid state of water and ice cubes are the solid state of water. On further heating, water will start converting into water vapors. Okay, so we saw that on heating the ice cube first got converted into water and then water got converted into water vapors. But in sublimation, on heating the solid, it changes directly into vapors. It will not go into the liquid state. Solid will directly convert into vapors on heating. Okay, I hope the difference between evaporation and sublimation is clear. Next is, what is the difference between homogeneous and heterogeneous mixtures? In homogeneous mixtures, the composition is uniform throughout the mixture. Okay? For example, here in this beaker, I have taken water. Add some salt in this. Start mixing it. Mix it well you will notice that salt get dissolved completely in the water. And once salt has got completely dissolved in the water, after that we are not able to see salt and water separately. Now it has got mixed. Now it has got formed a mixture of salt and water. Okay, now we cannot see the salt particles and water separately because there is uniform composition throughout the mixture. But if we talk about heterogeneous mixture, in this mixture, composition is not uniform throughout the mixture. Let's try to understand with the help of one example. In this beaker, we have taken water. Add some sand in this. Okay? Add some sand. Try to mix it. You will notice the sand is not dissolving. Now, leave this mixture of sand and water undisturbed for some time. You will notice that after some time, sand has got settled at the bottom. Okay, this you can see, sand has got settled at the bottom. Here we can see sand particles separately in water. Okay, and you can see the composition is not uniform. Here you can see the maximum salt, it has got settled at the bottom. Okay, so here the composition is not uniform throughout the mixture. So this is the difference between homogeneous and heterogeneous mixtures. I hope this is clear. So here we are finishing our revision of this chapter. Thank you.